Good evening, it's Kuro. Got a tier 10 game in my Holland, going over the matchmaking, threats to my ship. Des Moines, double Puerto Rico, potentially radar Minotaur, Nevsky. Do have Smolensk for close-in firepower, Daring, Kleber, and Shimakaze. And this map pretty much spawn up in the north, and this is actually the first time I've played this new configuration, so I'm learning where the islands are at and different changes right now. And all in all, I like the map. There are some little islands and stuff that I wish that they'd get rid of, like little tiny islands like this little thing here. Just make this island bigger. I mean, you don't need to have these little tiny things that can be difficult to see on the mini map that can hang people up, especially right there near a cap where trying to escape through that area can kind of trip people up. So, or maybe that's something that that wargaming likes. It's one of those things. If I was designing the maps, I'd design them a little different. But I am taking basically this approach up here. The reason why I'm going around this island, I want to get, in front of this island, so anything that, comes in between these islands that, I've got the potential to spot early on, give my team and myself a little bit of extra notice that, hey, this is what we got coming this way. So just pre-firing some torpedoes here. Torpedoes load pretty quick on this boat, so no sense in keeping them on the boat. Really, those torpedoes, they're aimed more at a straggler coming through here than anything. It's not going to catch the leading wave of these ships pushing through here, through this gap.
All stations, reporting the position of all stations, requesting fire support.
And notice, I've been skirting the cap. I'm just kind of waiting to see where things are at. We've got the Des Moines spotted. I decide I'm going to step on the cap, and I'm waiting to get radared, expecting the Nevsky to be up here with that super long range radar able to cover the cap, but nothing yet. So at this point, just in a position to run away, and I'm looking to cut off these Puerto Ricos if they want to drive this this northern route on my team. Try to throw some torpedoes in here, maybe I can catch somebody. Just cycling through targets, and really it's this Puerto Rico that's looking like a good torpedo opportunity for me, with the way he's kind of following behind his other Puerto Rico buddy. Oftentimes, if hydro's not an issue, the second ship in the line is more more comfortable with, not being a torpedo target. They'll tend to drive more in straight lines. So as long as, this Puerto Rico didn't have hydro up, potentially you would have some pretty good torpedoes here. Now, right here, I am running a modified gun build on the ship, and I'm gonna do a lot of this shooting. What I'm doing, I'm trying to use these islands to basically break up this engagement. The AP on this boat is fantastic, so I am trying to use the AP when I can. But this Puerto Rico is a super cruiser. I'm looking to, get as many of get as much of my guns into the action with fires and whatnot, because these dots are all gonna add up eventually. So Puerto Rico repaired that fire, threw some torpedoes out behind that island, just trying to catch that Puerto Rico. It looks like my Salem might be trying to poke him, and it pushes him right into my torpedoes. And I pick up a flood there. He's going to flood for a bit. Now notice I have switched to AP. Just trying to get the, whatever damage I can right now. And my Hindenburg goes on ahead, puts him down. Now, kind of notice right now the position that I sort of don't like. Kind of pause it here. I got a Kurfürst that's kind of stuck on the border. He's broadside all this stuff here. I think he's going to be hurting in a very, very short amount of time. I've got a Hindenburg that's rushing into a Shimakaze, a Kurfürst, plus you got a Puerto Rico back here and a Minotaur back here and a Thunder somewhere way back there. So I think that the Hindenburg is definitely in trouble. He is overcommitted, trying to just polish off that that first Puerto Rico. He would have done much better if he would have kind of followed my position out. Just keep shooting at the Kurfürst until he's able to get a line on the Puerto Rico. He can't really go anywhere with that Salem right there. So I think that he would have been in a much better position to have a more successful game had he played a little more safe. So I'm already kind of getting the feeling that this flank isn't going to hold up long. The enemy team has better positioning on us. And you can see how fast my Hindenburg's starting to melt.
Concentrate fire on the designated target. Engine boost
So
deactivated.
throwing some torps out there, just one set of torps, see if I can get cheeky with the Kurfürst. I was trying to get a reset there, just too late there. Still trying to use the islands to break up the engagement. Maybe I get a fire, maybe I don't. But basically launching the second set of torpedoes, anticipating he's going to accelerate a bit, and when that happens, he's got a chance of running into the next set of torps. I do score one torp hit on the Kurfürst, and again, just opening up with the guns. Now, one of the nice things about this ship, with the trajectory of the shells, you can shoot over islands pretty well, but also you've got the ability to have a couple volleys in the air before your shells start landing. So, 8-9 kilometers out, you see how many shots I have in the air. I've got the potential of lobbing, 3, 4, 5 rounds into or volleys in the air before this Kurfürst is really aware that he's being shot at. So it's another way that I can potentially get some fire damage, just taking advantage of kind of the delay that a player might notice me opening fire on him. So this Kurfürst, he's feeling the pain right now. He's flooding. He's just kind of in a bad predicament. There's Wither. I'm going to take a perspective torpedo shot here, but I am anticipating that the Kurfürst is going to have hydro available. I see that he's no longer burning. Gonna take a few shots, see if I can get a fire on him. And you see my position coming to fruition here. is just too hot for my team to try to make this play. And they basically, everybody just tried to just, you know, hold the place like it was the Alamo, and they all died in place with the exception of me. And that's really bad because, you know, this game is one of those things you need to learn to be able to readjust your position. Um, Otherwise, you're gonna end up with a lot of short games, like a lot of people did this game. Now here, Holland is a fantastic torpedo boat, just trying to stay ahead of the enemy push. I know the enemy is going to be pushing in towards B cap up here. I'm all by my lonesome, so I am looking to just bleed as much HP off the enemy team as they make their way to B cap. Here, just kind of predicting that this Thunder might try to come through this gap and try to flank my team. Again, using islands, take advantage of my concealment, get a couple shots in there, maybe I get a cheeky fire, no joy there, but no harm, no foul. I'm completely undetected. And at this point, I'm making the decision that I'm going to try to wrap through here. I want to see if I can spot the Kerr first, but I'm really trying to cut this Thunderer off completely if I can. Got a DD on cap. Looks like I had a good torpedo prediction. Unfortunately, these torpedoes just, they don't hit very hard at all, so it really doesn't do much. But I'm pretty sure at this point that this Thunder suspects that I'm back over here, and he's going to try to make this line. So again, just trying to get out in front of where the enemy team is moving and try to interdict them with torpedoes pretty much as fast as I can. Throwing another wide set of torps out there. I say wide, it's as in I'm not using the wide setting on the torpedoes. I am just spreading the two narrow spreads of torps out. Thunder does get a shot at me. Lands a pretty good hit. But that's what we've got a repair party for.
Capture that area. Requesting support.
Letting my team know that I'm going to be pushing onto the cap. Pick up another 3 torpedo hits with a flood, and Thunder is going to flood for a bit here. I'd really like to shoot here, but I don't know if it's the Kleber or if it's the Shima that's on the cap, and there's a Des Moines. So I need to take into account that, you know, I'm likely going to get radared here because my Minotaur's on the cap. Okay, there's Shima torpedoes. Okay, Kleber shooting at the Minotaur. And I'm just looking to stay dark here. This is kind of a rough area for me to just start gunboating because there's so many different angles that can shoot at me with. Potentially that Des Moines can come around the island, that Thunder, the Minotaur. It's just not a good angle for me to shoot, as well as, you know, third set of Shima torps is kind of in my way. So I basically settle up on, I'm just going to angle to this Minotaur, so if I do get hit, his AP is mostly going to bounce. And fortunately, this Des Moines, by the time he does try to poke out to shoot me, his radar drops off. Unfortunately, he doesn't really get punished by my battleships for making that poke. I was kind of hoping with a Conqueror that fast that that Des Moines would get nuked. So waiting here till I get the cap. Again, see that little spit of an island that Thunder is going behind? Watch. I'm shooting, I'm detected. Thunder goes behind that island. Whoop. Little things like that just makes it a little bit harder for ships to engage you when you're shooting. And I got all those shells up in the air. And hey, I got lucky, got a fire on him. Unfortunately, he knows that his damage control, he can basically damage control that way he's not eating unnecessary damage, because it's unlikely there's going to be, you know, follow-up damage by the time his repair party comes off cooldown. Now I'm coming up here. I didn't count on the fact that our Yoshino was going to get gunned down by the Kleber. I kind of thought that the Yoshino should be able to beat that ship, but it happens. In hindsight, I should probably shift to just playing defensive here and just head to this area of the cap, and with the Shimakaze dead, just zone everything out of the cap. Keep the Des Moines spotted every time he comes around. The Des Moines low HP. So, I'm basically sort of making that decision right now. I'm anticipating my team's going to kill this Des Moines with the way that he's sailing. So, it's basically a situation. I've got an idea. I'm gonna get radared here eventually. But my team should be able to kill this guy pretty quickly, because he's pretty exposed, and if not, I'm gonna do it myself. So I am radared. So I'm just gonna put my stern to the Minotaur. Fortunately for me, the Minotaur, his AP is mostly gonna bounce if you give him your stern like that. My team does put down the Des Moines, and at this point, feeling pretty secure with this game. I see the Kleber coming, and really I do make a misplay here. I should have sat back right where I'm at right now, where the Minotaur can't really shoot me and this Thunder can't shoot me, and just let this Kleber come to me.
Victory is in sight.
But I know if the Kleber dies, and I'm anticipating some help shooting this guy, we should pretty much win this. Now you can see the miscalculation here with the Thunder coming around the island a little before I could, and this Minotaur coming around as well, and I basically ended up on the wrong side of a 3-on-1, and I get wrecked for it. Fortunately, I'm able to trade out the Kleber, and unfortunately, I guess my two battleships were busy shooting at everything other than the Kleber. But at this point, all they need to do is just don't let the Thunder step in the cap. The Minotaur's running for his life. And we'll be looking pretty good once the Conqueror makes the turn back into B cap. So, talking about Halland. Holland's a ship that, well, the entire line, I really enjoyed the lower tier. I was running mostly gun builds on the ships in the European destroyer line, just because the torpedo reloads are so fast. One, for 3 points, you're getting, you know, not much out of torpedo armament expertise. Excuse me. So it's a a situation that I do feel that, you know, if you're only gonna get, less than 10 seconds off your torpedo reload, and your torpedoes are, you know, under 90 seconds, I'd start looking elsewhere to see what other buffs you can give your ship. So things like um, basic firing training, maybe demolition expert. Lower tiers, I was running demolition expert. I did come through with a 19-point captain, but when I ground those ships, but it's one of those things that, why not? Um, if you're just going to get that much better bang for your buck. And the idea that I have behind that is you've got torpedo spam for days. Your torpedoes have a high hit rate. Granted, they don't flood all that great, um, but when you do get floods and you do get follow-up fires, you start to see a lot of dot damage racking up. And that starts to turn this boat more and more into a hybrid destroyer. Now I only got five. Yes, that's a funny looking five. 7 fires out of all the HE that I shot. Um, also notice, the AP, the damage per round. Your AP is very potent. Even at max range, don't neglect, um, your AP. Just if you get broadside shots, sometimes it's worth it just to stick with AP and just riddle something. Um, so a little bit of, give and take there. Honestly, I don't see a lot of people playing the European destroyers, uh, taking advantage of the AP, and it's, in my opinion, that's a mistake, especially against cruisers and battleships where you can be doing, you know, 2.5k a volley, depending on where you're hitting, saturation, all of that. It's uh, it's something that I wouldn't look the other way with that level of damage. Um, so anyway, going back to, you know kind of how balanced the damage is between your torpedo, your dots. Um, got a lot of potential here. That if you want to farm arsonist and witherer flags, Holland's a pretty good ship to do it. Smollen's, I think, an even better ship to do it with the longer gun range. Um, Same thing with Orkin is another solid performer. I'll be having an Orkin video and ranked coming out fairly soon when I get a moment, um, to go over it. So anyway, I wanted to get this video out. I had a couple people asking for a Holland video, and here you guys go. So hope you guys are having a good night. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. As usual, I'll leave the build descriptions in the link in the video description. And I hope you guys are having a good night. I will talk to you later.